up, MoseTube? Working on this 2018 Dodge Ram 1500 with standard suspension. We're going to put this leveling kit on. You see it's standard with this coilover shock. And we're going to do 3-inch leveling in the front and 2.5 in the rear. This is the product that we're using. Spacer right here, it's 3-inch. And this is the brand. Delivered by eBay. At its finest. Dyno Fit. So far, what you got is the basics. Remove the tire. Gonna remove the upper ball joint. This is a 21 mil, and the caliper mount, not the actual caliper itself. We're gonna go for the mount. Release both bolts, and then you got your shock right here where it mounts at the lower control arm. This side right here is in 21 mil, and the other side is a 24. So you're gonna put a wrench on that side, hold it still while you use your impact and drive that out. That'll release your shock. The other part up here is the shock tower. You're going to go ahead and release those with the 16 mil. You can access those inside here, right there, right up underneath the master cylinder. I've got my impact that I'm going to be using for that. This side over here, you got the intake box and the 3 bolts right there. So if you stick an extension, maybe a universal joint, you'd be able to get to it. We've got the rear spacer right here. We're going to put that on shortly after this. So step by step, what you're going to end up having to do, pull the wheel off, get the caliper out of the way, secure it, move it up out of the travel of this knuckle. You're not going to have to release the lower ball joint. You're going to leave that affixed to the steering knuckle. You're going to have to release the sway bar link or anti-sway bar link and the tie rod. So what I use instead of the separator is just a mini sledge right there. You beat it right on the side and it'll actually pop loose once after breaking this fastener loose. And then same thing with the upper ball joint. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now and then show you the after. Is it going? Mm-hmm. All right. Make sure that's in reverse. You can take it all the way off. A lot of people go ahead and leave the fastener back on here so that way you don't end up mushrooming the threads. And you just simply bang a couple times and then it's loose. Just like that, you're able to go ahead and pull your tie rod up and out for control of the knuckle while I'm going to be working on the upper ball joint. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're back and just going to go ahead and release this upper ball joint. You see it's still on there. Loose. You just go ahead and walk this all the way off when you're ready for it. Let's see. Leave that just hanging on so when you're ready for the knuckle, you got control over it. We're going to go ahead and release the anti-sway bar link. And just put a 16 on here and go all the way off. The reason why is you're going to need that extra travel with that lower control arm when you're ready for it to go down far enough to pull that shock stabilizer out of there. All right, next is the shock where it's actually fastened to the lower control arm. We're going to go ahead and loosen it. Got the 24 mil right here, and I've got my 21 mil socket, so we're actually going to work it off on this side. Off. Yeah. All right, so now the other thing is what we're going to end up having to do is put a little bit of pressure up on this just to pull that bolt out of there. If you can see it, we're going to pull this bolt out and that'll allow us to have further travel with this lower control arm. Tie rod is up and out of the way. I just usually stick it up there. That helps keep it up and out of harm's way. The upper ball joint is loose as well. Just go ahead and pull it on off of there. I'm going to stabilize this knuckle for me. Grab it. There we go. All right. And that's loose. And then what we're going to do is go ahead and apply some pressure to help this bolt on out of here. I'll be back. All right, now we got that bolt out of there. We used a jack, applied a light amount of pressure to go ahead and allow that bolt to come loose. Got here the shock tower bolts, or the nuts rather. So what I got here is my impact. I'm going to go ahead and use that to go ahead and break it loose. You can access that from the top. That's 1, 2, and 3. The one-handed mechanic. So now we just collect the fasteners. It's definitely a two-man job. Don't do this by yourself. You see here, got all 3. Now to get this guy out of here, that's where I'm gonna release this jack. I broke my tripod for my camera, that's why I'm got a shaking camera this whole way. Alright, so now clean up all the debris that might be up at the top from off-roading. Then you put your adapter on, and it'll only go on one way. Just got to match up all 3 bolts, just like that. Then you reuse your fasteners, the 3 of them that are over there. These ones right here. And you're going to drop them down in there and go ahead and fasten up all 3. Oh, sorry. We got to back up.
We gotta do these first.
Yeah, these bolts that it comes with. Sorry about that, guys. We got 3 of these. These will get driven in to this plate prior. So you're going to go ahead and flip this plate so where the threads are facing downward. See those? Face those down. And then drive these in. And got my Allen wrench tool for that. After those get fastened through good and tight, then you're going to go ahead and put this plate on top. After that, the pre-existing studs on the shock will go ahead and get fastened down with this separating plate in place, and then we're going to go ahead and bring that shock right back up inside of here. We'll be back. Anymore. That's solid, bro. All right, now you grab this guy, and like I said, it'll only go on one way, which it just did. And then you go ahead and drop your fasteners in there. You can start them with the socket prior to using your impact, and that's going to be same size we were using, 16 mil. Just start it by hand, and then you use your impact. That way you're not double threading. Hang on to it. All right.
Got it.
Yep. All right. Now this is where the two-man part comes into play. All right. We just got this guy all fastened up. You see the studs that are actually going to go up through the tower and match up with the bolt holes up there. And it's supposed to go ahead and line up right here, so that way you can get your bolt in nice and tight. Problem with this is that spacer is so great that you're going to have to push down, literally, physically, push down on this lower control arm. And you can see how much I'm actually pushing. and you see how much that anti-sway bar link actually moves. So when somebody goes ahead and manually moves this, your partner in crime, up into the tower, you're gonna go top side first, and it can only mount one way. So you're gonna make sure your lead bolt is always gonna be pointed towards you. And then as soon as it starts to peek through here, what a little trick that I like to use is grab a fastener and then run it in by hand, just to grab those couple threads, just in case you need to reposition. And you see how bad he sucks at it. All right, and there it is right there.
That's not in it.
And
Is
then,
it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple threads. And you just got to go ahead and, yeah, see. That's why I like to have one handy. And just stick one up there. Go ahead and push it up and give me the fastener. You got it? Alright, as soon as you get a couple bites on that thread, now the two-man job is going to happen, where you just got to finagle this shock and get it so where it'll line up. Here, you want to hold this? Let me correct what we have over here. There it is. So go ahead and show that. When you know you got your shock in place, all three studs should pop up. You see 1, 2, and 3. And that just takes a quick little wiggle down here at the bottom. And then just run this fastener down to hold it in place. We'll come back to that with that lock washer and the standard washer. Now, this is the fun part. See, and I can only get it so far by myself. That's why I like to use somebody else's help. All right, guys, we're here now trying to go ahead and fasten this shock in place. And what I'm gonna do, we use this little cheater. What? Your ratchet broke?
Yeah, get another one.
Oh shit! Is it in the back of the truck or in the cab?
In the cab, but back seat under the.
All right, I'll go ahead and give you a rundown. What we end up doing is putting a ratchet strap right around the gas shock itself. What that'll end up doing is allowing less pressure to be applied. Go ahead and pull this thing back. You can see I can manually do it. It's easier when you use this ratchet strap. We just go around the control arm on that side. Let me get that. There we go. And then go right around the gas shock, back down. And then he'll go ahead and connect. And you just watch here as he starts ratcheting. And it's going to be less effort applied when trying to line it up. What's up, So-So? Yep. All right. Stop right there. You can see here. So close, very close to being in line. We're doing a performance upgrade. It's my daughter beeping in. A little more. Let's see if we can. You guys might not be able to see what I'm seeing. Oh, there it is right there. All right, I think now once we jack it up with this, we'll go ahead and make up that difference. And we got to go ahead and get this bolt through the shock mount itself. And that'll end up happening with this pop out of jack. You gonna go for a walk? Okay. Those are mine. You can take them off. Let's see.
Goes in the other way.
Yeah, I know it goes in the other way. I'm just trying to find it. It's not.
Remember you screwed in.
Just a little more. We might need to bang on it with the hammer a little bit. It's still not in line.
There you go.
It looked like it moved.
What's up, So-So?
Let's see. Yeah, we're still a little off.
Put them over in the corner.
Still a little off.
Up.
Yeah, looks like it. we got a gap in between each side, so
It was like that last time.
yeah, WD-40 would not help this. What it is the shock itself is just sitting right up against that control arm. You see it? Right there. I'm gonna go ahead and pause it. I'm gonna get it in place, but this is the method that we use. We just go ahead and ratchet this. This is nice and tight, and then use a jack to go ahead and bring that control arm up. All right, made it through. We got the impact. Ready? After that's installed, we went ahead and torqued these to 70 foot-pounds, which we're going to go ahead and do now. We've got the torque wrench already preset. We're using a click-type torque wrench. I started them off with my 18mm gear wrench, just to get them somewhat close.
You're the wrong way. You're the wrong way.
Sounds like you're going backwards, dude. You flipped the gear. Hold the socket. There.
What?
You just gotta hold this up so that way it doesn't flip the gear again. You want to torque these down to 70 foot-pounds per the manufacturer's specification. That's it. I'm gonna say, I know I had it close. I don't know why you were going in reverse. It flipped the gear itself. Total time I estimate maybe about 45 minutes if you guys can really get it going. That's per side. The video's a little short because I've been pausing and recapping. Don't want to bore you guys with the monotone sound of an air compressor running. Make sure that thing's on there square, man. Don't let it wobble. There it is. That's our 80/80, or 70 rather. Now we've got our anti-sway bar link. Right here, we can go ahead and put the pieces where the inside of that box, the leveling kit.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out.
This piece face down. Oh, I'm sorry, face up like that.
That's it, Zayden.
Okay, and then the flat washer, and then the bolt. Use your 16 mil. Zip that down.
Zayden, you want a juice? Stand up. Stand up.
Alright. That's good. Once you get a happy little squish, you're fine. Alright, and then go ahead and get this tie rod in place. And grab your 1/2 inch with a 21 mil. Go ahead and get that on. Worst. This guy right here is a pain.
That's what we did this one.
Yep, we jacked up the lower control arm enough so it allowed the lower control arm to meet the upper control arm on its travel. You can see here, it's slowly coming up. All right, Once we get to the point where the car wants to start moving, we're all right. And now we can go ahead and pull this down and get ready with our fastener to catch some threads. Go ahead and bring that upper. All right, there it is. And then we go ahead and fasten these. It's gonna be our tie rod, upper ball joint, and then we'll come to the brakes and we'll show you the finished product. All right, guys, this is it, the final product. We're just gonna go ahead and fasten this tire up. Everything else has been put on in reverse from the disassembly. This side is actually sitting down and on the ground. That's the lift itself. You can see here what it looks like. We're gonna go ahead and finish up with the front, and we're gonna move to the rear. That'll be a part 2 video. Thanks for watching. You got any questions, comments, any specific tools needed, you just go ahead and let me know. Got a little pile of tools right here, or torque wrench, mini sledge. The screwdriver I used just to go ahead and bust the clips loose for the ABS right there. And got our wrenches. Moe's Tube out. Thanks for watching.